The finale of Season 1 of House the Dragon has passed some months ago, and we have been introduced to a whole array of new characters to fall in love with. Leaving us with a continent on the brink of civil war, Season 1 introduced us to many current and future players in the Dance of the Dragons. A grand total of 10 characters with the blood of the dragon made their debut in the series so far, and yet we are still missing one of the more important royal offspring. Daeron Targaryen, better known as Daeron the Daring, has not been seen or mentioned yet. So who is he, and why have we not seen him? Welcome to The Boar and the Lion. If you like these kinds of videos, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a lot with making future videos. Just as was the case for Game of Thrones, the show writers of House the Dragon have used Season 1 to set the stage for the central conflict of the series. And seeing that House the Dragon's central conflict is a Targaryen civil war, this means that we have been introduced to a bunch of children with Valyrian blood running through their veins. Rhaenyra and her 5 sons, Daemon and his 2 daughters, and of course King Jaehaerys and his 3 children by Alicent Hightower. We are 1 child short, however. Daeron Targaryen is the youngest son of King Jaehaerys Targaryen and Queen Alicent Hightower. Daeron is 4 years younger than his brother Aemond, and he's about the same age as his nephew Jace, Rhaenyra's oldest son. When both boys had just been born, Jaehaerys gave them the same wet nurse to make them grow closer. Just as is the case with Daeron's older brothers, however, he grew to become a rival to his nephews. Not much more is known about Daeron's childhood, except for the fact that he already bonded with a dragon at age 6, the blue dragon Tessarion. If we look at the source material, Daeron grew up alongside his older brothers and sister in King's Landing. 3 years before Viserys' death, he was sent to Old Town to serve as a squire for House Hightower. Which means that we should have seen him by now. And his absence has been noted by many viewers. Rumors concerning his character being cut from the show altogether grew louder as no information regarding Daeron was shared during the entirety of Season 1. The official Twitter account of House the Dragon even provided us with a family tree of the different Targaryen branches. Once again, Daeron was missing. George R.R. Martin himself finally broke the silence after the conclusion of the first season and told us that Daeron's character had not been cut. He is in Old Town indeed, being fostered by House Hightower. So that's the good news, we will get to see Daeron after all. Giving an explanation why Daeron was not present in Season 1, George told us that there was no time to write him into the season. Looking at the minimal screen time some of the other Targaryen children got, this reason seems a little far-fetched to me. Personally, I have a different theory why there was no place for Daeron in Season 1. It's not hard to see that the writing team of House the Dragon took a good look at the setup of the first season of Game of Thrones and tried to mimic it as best as possible. One of the things that makes Game of Thrones unique as a fantasy world is the fact that its characters and events are morally grey. But Game of Thrones did not start out like that. In Season 1, House Stark start out as the good guys and House Lannister start out as the evil villains. The odd one out here is Tyrion, who is portrayed as a good guy while being a part of House Lannister. As the seasons pass, these characters get more depth and become morally grey, putting us in doubt as who to root for. A great example of this character development is Jaime Lannister, who grows from purely evil to one of the fan favorites. The first season of House the Dragon takes a similar approach. Rhaenyra is portrayed as good-natured and mature, with her children being shown as well-raised and sensible. Queen Alicent and her devil spawn, on the other hand, are portrayed as evil, antagonizing and in some cases simply mad. Once again, there is one odd one out, and in House the Dragon that role goes to Daemon, who does show us signs of evil despite being on the good side of things. Where Game of Thrones Season 1 portrayal is quite faithful to its source material, House the Dragon takes quite some artistic liberties with its translation from book to show. Rhaenyra does not come close to the overly proud and vindictive character she actually is, while Aemond, Helena and Aegon are portrayed far more extreme than their characters actually are. Surely they have their faults, but to have Aegon wanking out of a window take things a bit too far. But we're drifting off. I will save this ranting for another video. Back to Daeron. My theory is that Daeron was cut because he didn't fit the narrative the show writers wanted for season 1. As the previous example showed, the show writers changed certain characteristics of important characters to fit the narrative they wanted for their season. And unlike his siblings, there are no obvious faults in the character of Daeron that could be enlarged to fit season 1. In all honesty, it will be no understatement to call Daeron the most beloved of all the royal offspring. As the youngest son, he was never expected to lead, and therefore was not raised with these expectations. In Fire and Blood, he is described as a clever and courteous young man, much beloved by the court and small folk alike. And these characteristics are, in my eyes, the reason that there was no room, as George R.R. Martin said, to write him into season 1. I for one am glad that George R.R. Martin has confirmed Daeron's presence in season 2 of House of the Dragon. I would not want to miss out on his dragon, Tessarion, said to be one of the most beautiful dragons to have ever lived. And Daeron has a very important part to play in the Dance of the Dragons. So I hope we will get to see our favorite Targaryen son very soon. Thank you very much for watching. What did you think about the absence of Daeron in season 1? And are there more characters that you missed? Please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time.